Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in to the Triple Play Fantasy Sunday Start Sit Show. Here we don't just please you with alliteration, but also help you make those difficult lineup decisions to beat your friends, win some money, and hopefully take away the stress of putting your lineups together. I'm one half of the show, D. Mendy, of course, joined by my co-host, the quarterback whisperer himself, Mr. Jacob. How's it going, man?
Oh, it's going great, man. It feels like Christmas morning. I got my coffee ready to go, ready to win you your week one, guys. Let's do this.
I love it. Love it. Football, it is really Christmas. Like yesterday felt like Christmas Eve. You're like, I can't sleep. I'm so excited.
That's right.
And it's finally here. We've waited 7 months for this day, and football is back.
Oof.
So what we're going to be doing on this show is it says in the title, and as you see probably on a bunch of other places on Twitter, every Sunday from 11 o'clock to 11:30 Eastern time, Jacob and I will be here to give you everything you need as far as your lineup help. Now, Jacob is a Fantasy Pros legend, and I'm just me. So I'm just going to be here to help pump him up. And just if he needs something to bounce off of, I'm here. Otherwise, you're going to listen to what Jacob tells you. So we're going to be answering questions on the stream as they come in. That's going to be our first priority is stream questions. But we will also answer questions that were given to us in the comments on Twitter as well. But those will just get pushed back a little bit for the ones that are put in on our stream. So, Jacob, you ready to do this, man?
I'm ready, dog. Let's do this.
All right. So we've got, well, let's just check out our light. Drinking our coffee like adults.
That's right.
Eric is not an adult. Yeah, I love it. So we had a couple questions sent in here on Twitter first. Look, we got a nice little crew checking. I love it.
Love that crew.
Detroit Beastie, the man.
That's right.
What's a crave case? I have no idea what that even is.
I don't know, but I'm craving this coffee right now.
So, a couple questions that were sent in to us, and as we hear them, we'll put them on the screen on our comments here. First question that was sent in from Zach at FF Info Finder. In a standard league, what for his wide receiver 2, are you looking at Chase Claypool or Laviska Shenault? And then a follow-up to that question, Jacob. Then for flex, would you choose the one you don't pick or Trey Sermon?
So I'm going to go with Claypool there. He does have a tough matchup against the Buffalo Bills, but I think that Deontay Johnson is drawing Trey White. So I think that Claypool is going to get more opportunities. So I'm going to go with Claypool over Shenault. Shenault will have some manufactured touches, but I'd rather have that upside with Claypool. And then I would actually play Shenault over Sermon, just because I want to see how that 49ers backfield shakes out at the beginning of the year before I plug Sermon in. I love Sermon long term, but I just want to see how that shakes out. So I'm going to go with Claypool and Shenault there.
So that's fair. I think for me, I'm going Laviska Shenault over the 2. I think he's going to get a lot of short area targets, and I know it's not PPR, but I think he's going to get the ball in his hands, whether it's some touches in the backfield that Urban Meyer is going to manufacture for him, kind of playing that ETN role. And then I think he also is arguably we don't know who the wide receiver 1 in Jacksonville yet. So he could potentially be the wide receiver 1 in Jacksonville. And Texans don't have anybody in pass coverage that scares me at all. So, and then as far as the follow-up, it's interesting. Our first question, we're not necessarily on the same page, but I guess it's a good thing, right? Like, I'm Trey Sermon. And the reason is I think the 49ers are going to absolutely obliterate the Lions.
Yeah.
And with that coming in, I think they're going to use both Mostert and Trey Sermon. I've actually, if there's a bet about them both scoring touchdowns, I would definitely put a bet on that. I think it's going to be one of those games that you're going to see that Mostert has, 100 plus yards and 2 touchdowns, and Trey Sermon could have like 70 yards and a touchdown. I see it that type of game for the 49ers. And I think just with the fact that with both of those game scripts involved, the Bills still have a really good defense. Claypool was very touchdown dependent last year, so I'm a little worried in that sense. But for me, it's the other 2. But we're both on the same page with Laviska Shenault. We're just switching out Sermon and Claypool.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Our next question comes from Wade at Johnny Bo 657-63207.
Okay.
Chance it with Eckler at flex or roll with Allen Robinson, Michael Pittman, Marquez Callaway, Kenny Gallaudet, or Mike Williams. What are your thoughts?
So all I heard was Eckler or Allen Robinson. That's That's all I heard, which is a great problem to have. I know that it's risky with his hamstring, but Allen Robinson does draw a very tough start against Jalen Ramsey of the Rams. So I'm going to roll with Austin Eckler. I know it's a little risky with the hamstring, but the reports this morning says he's a full go. So I'm going to go with Eckler.
I'm with you, Jacob. I think if you have Austin Eckler and this is one of those examples where I look at it and I say, who are you going to be most upset that you benched?
Right.
And if Austin Eckler plays and gives you 2 touchdowns, you're going to be like, why did I even think about benching Austin Eckler? You play your studs. I know there's some questions, but he's going to be active. He didn't give any inclination, according to his social media, that he was not going to play. So I think I would roll with Eckler with Allen Robinson as a close second for me.
Yep, absolutely.
And if you want to be a hero, Marquez Callaway could definitely be the guy. But you got to keep in mind he's going against Jair Alexander,
right,
who is regarded right now as, if not the best, he might be one of the 2, 3, or 3 best cornerbacks in the league. I'm fading Marquez Callaway personally this week. Not just in my regular lineups, but my DFS lineups as well. Are you playing a lot of Marquez Callaway?
So I have him in one of my DFS lineups just because he's extremely cheap. And I think that DFS knows that Jair's probably going to shut him down. It's just that Jameis Winston is probably going to force feed him that ball. So I like him as like a what the heck flex, if you have nothing to lose and you're down big from the Cowboys and Bucks game. And if you just have, whatever he costs on DFS, which was somewhere in the low 3,000s, I would go for it. Just don't expect him to do much. Like, I wouldn't expect much, but he is the number 1 target there, which says something.
Yeah, I agree. We have a follow-up question from one of our first ones. Thoughts on defenses, Carolina or the Dolphins? I think Carolina is a sneaky play this week. Dolphins could be good too, obviously, with a rookie quarterback. This is definitely a good toss. I'm interested to hear your thoughts first on this, Jacob.
Yeah, I think that you got to go with the Panthers just because they are facing rookie quarterback Zach Wilson. He might just come out right out of the gate and do well. And I hope he does. But, rookies are prone to mistakes. And I think that the Panthers are the much safer play. I think that the Patriots will play it safe with Mac Jones. I don't think he'll throw a ton. I think it'll be a running game. This is like a smash spot for Damian Harrison, and Stevenson is a sneaky play here because the Dolphins front 7 wasn't that good last season. So they were susceptible to the run last season. So I think this will be mostly a running game. So I don't think the Dolphins will manufacture a lot of turnovers. So I would just go with the Panthers as the safer play.
I'm with you, Jacob. Carolina, and one of the things, if you do pick up Carolina, they have a really good schedule the first 3 or 4 weeks of the season too, so you can play them outside of just this week. So I would go Carolina as well in this matchup. The Dolphins Patriots games are always a little tricky. So I agree. Stick with Carolina. Our buddy Kevin coming in with a question. The Scott Fishbowl decision: Paris Campbell or Austin Hooper or Jason Sanders. So we got a kicker, obviously now can be used as a flex in Scott Fishbowl.
Right.
So Jacob, where are you going? This is a really interesting one.
This is very interesting because Paris Campbell has a lot of upside, but he can also throw in a goose egg. Like, we just don't know how that Colts wide receiver core is going to shake out. So Kevin, you know me, man, I'm going to go safe here and go with Jason Sanders because I think that he is guaranteed at least 7 points for you there, with upside for more because the Patriots defense is getting a lot of players back from last season and they beefed up their front 7. So I think that the Dolphins are going to have a tough time in the red zone. So I think that Sanders is in a good spot here to score you some points. Now, it's not going to be a high ceiling, of course, which is why you're asking this question. It's tough, but I'm going to go with Jason Sanders here and just play it safe.
I'm leaning towards that way as well, Jacob, because right now, Tyrann Mathieu, we're obviously doing this before inactives are announced at 11:30 for the first wave of games, but being a big Chiefs fan, going against Austin Hooper.
Yeah.
Austin Hooper is a tight end, obviously, and the Chiefs are one of the best teams in the league against the tight end. And that's because they have someone like Tyrann Mathieu, who's strong, but he's also fast and he's physical. And he basically helps eliminate the tight end on the opposing team. So with Austin Hooper there, I'm very skeptical. The Chiefs have been susceptible against the run in the past. That's been one of their weak points for the last half a decade.
Yeah.
So I expect a lot of Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, less pass options for Austin Hooper. Paris Campbell's sneaky because Carson Wentz likes his slot receiver.
Yeah.
And they were talking about Paris Campbell being in the slot and being that guy potentially for him as like a sneaky play. But I think if you're talking about a safe play right now, I think you're right. Jason Sanders, I think, might need to be the guy that you need to go with if you're looking for that safe 7 to 8 point floor that you're hopefully trying to get from these guys.
Right.
Another question that came in on Twitter. DJ Chark or Laviska Shenault for the final flex spot does not say if it's PPR or standard. If they don't say, we're just going to assume it's PPR. So what are your thoughts for that?
So I am smashing Laviska Shenault here just because, like you said earlier, David, he's going to get touches out of the backfield. He's going to get screens. Like, he is their guy. They are going to force feed him the ball. Now, the yards might not be there, but he is capable of big plays. But I see huge chunk yards. So I can definitely see him getting 6 to 7 catches for like 40 to 60 yards. Like, he is a good play in a half PPR and a full PPR league. I like his floor, and I also like his ceiling.
Yeah,
against the Texans, you know.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's one of those sneaky games that I think could shoot out. Defenses are both bad, and you know I think it's 100% Laviska Shenault here, who I have right now. Marvin Jones, Laviska Shenault, kind of to me. A little bit above DJ Chark. I think DJ Chark's going to be the third option in that passing game. I know you talk to a different person, they're going to say something different. Some have Chark as the number one. I think as far as fantasy production, I have Chark as number 3 among the pass catchers there going into the season. I don't know how you feel about the 3 of the pass catchers there.
That's fair. Before DJ Chark broke his finger, I had him as the number 1 option, and I thought he was going to be a sneaky late, like mid to late round guy in drafts. And then he broke his finger, and then Trevor Lawrence got all this time with Marvin Jones, and they have great chemistry. And then he got all this time with Laviska. So, with Travis Etienne gone, I think that Laviska takes on that role and his old role that he was going to get anyway. So he's going to get even more touches. DJ Chark has a higher ceiling probably just because he's 6'4", he's 220 pounds. I mean, this dude is huge. So he's a huge target for Trevor Lawrence. But Laviska Shenault is the much safer play. And yeah, I would say right now Chark is the number 3 unless proven otherwise.
All right, well, we got a couple more we can move on to here. Yep. Next one, Kenny Gallaudet or Odell Beckham in full PPR. This is, oh man, it's like, do you want trash or do you want garbage right now?
I mean,
this is a tough one. In PPR too, Jacob, where are you going with this one?
So I know why you said that, David, because like Gallaudet is coming off of a hamstring injury, so he's a little bit risky. He's tied to a quarterback who we're just not sure of. And then Odell Beckham Jr., who has been hurt all offseason, and we're not even sure if he's 100% healthy, and I don't think he is. Like, there was a bunch of questions in Cleveland saying if he will even play. So, saying that, the reports from the Gallaudet camp are much more positive, and I think that the Giants will have to throw to keep up with the Broncos, in New York. So I'm going to go with Kenny Gallaudet here just because I am not a fan of Odell Beckham. I don't think he fits well with the Cleveland Browns scheme, and he's hurt. He's hasn't been a full participant at all this offseason. So I'm going to go with Kenny Gallaudet and just hope he gets some big plays for you.
I'm 100% with you on this one as well because
yeah.
I look at there's 2 things. There's one thing for each of them that scare me. Kenny Gallaudet, if you Google Kenny Gallaudet, the first thing that comes up is he admits that him and Daniel Jones are rusty. And you don't like to hear that a receiver and their quarterback are rusty because that means they haven't had any time to get chemistry down, any time to work together. But you also look up Odell Beckham, and they're already publicly saying he's going to be on a snap count in this game. That they're already publicly saying he's not expected to play the full game at his normal amount of snaps. So you're going into it already at a disadvantage, knowing you're not going to get a full potential workload from Odell Beckham Jr. So for that reason, for me, I'm going Gallaudet because they've not said anything about him being limited. So, that I think makes it a little easier, at least for us. We're both on the Gallaudet side, but it's a tough situation in PPR regardless.
Very.
Next question came in here. I was on another stream that said Zach Moss is doing warm-up drills with typically inactive players. Does that make Singletary a real option if you have flex problems. What are you doing with this backfield, Jacob?
So I'm a fan of Singletary in PPR leagues. I think that he will get enough work to at least be a low end flex. Like, I am avoiding this Bills backfield at all costs, but I get it. Like, they might just be your only options at your flex. So I am going to roll with Singletary because this should be a relatively high scoring game. I know that both defenses are great, like the Steelers is much better, but they're in Buffalo. So, like both have like similar advantage defensively. So I am going to roll with Singletary and just hope he breaks a big one, but I still see him getting 3 to 4 catches, getting at least 10 rushes for 40 or so, 40, 50 yards, just being that very safe low end flex play. I'm going to go with Singletary over Moss.
Yeah, if I'm choosing between the two in this game, I'm going Singletary. Hopefully, you have another option you can play at your flex than either of the two, because I would love to see what's available on the waiver wire. Somebody that might be in a PPR format, guaranteed to have a little bit more work. But again, if we're picking between the two here, I think we're on the same page that it's got to be Singletary in this situation.
Definitely.
Got our buddy here from the Take It to the Hizzy Group checking in. Happy Sunday, boys. It's Christmas morning.
Let's go.
It is a great day. Great. I mean, we are less than 2 hours away from our first NFL Sunday.
Feels so good. Finally.
So Jacob, just a quick break from the questions for you. I'm asked, what are your Sunday traditions? What do you like doing on Sunday to get ready for the games?
Well, before I had kids, it was shower, and then it was just watch the pregame all morning for 3 hours until it's just football all day. Every day I wear my jersey, my Bronco jersey, Right now I got my Javonte Williams jersey. Let's go. But now that I have kids, the tradition is any other morning. I change their diapers. I make sure they're fed. And then, if there's a little extra time, I make some coffee, and then I watch maybe the last 30 minutes of a pregame show just to get ready. But yeah, it's not the same when you have kids. I will say that right now, David. But I'm curious, you are newly married, no kids. So your traditions have to stay exactly the same, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right. Hopefully, I think for another couple of years before kids are in the picture, I expect it. My fiance, or not, I have to get used to saying wife. It's so new to me here.
Yeah.
My wife is definitely very flexible. She knows Sundays are my day. That I'm I just want to sit on the couch, just with the dog on my lap, and I just want to sit and watch football. And I think obviously with kids, it's definitely a different type of ordeal.
Right.
So it's just kind of finding that balance of hey, Saturdays we're gonna go out and do things, unplug. Sundays are I'm kind of zoned in, checking the tons of leagues that we're in, being able to fix all your rosters, do any DFS lineups you're doing. It's a lot, but it's fun and it goes by so fast because before you blink and it's week 4, week 5, you're wow, it's already a quarter over already, and then it's boom, it's or you do it. What Justin's saying here is when you give them the TV in the morning, you're you got it. I just want it at 1 o'clock. You can get whatever you want in the morning. So
yes.
I do have another question for you though, Jacob. So I put out a tweet yesterday that has become my most liked tweet of all time, and I did not. I mean, I didn't expect it was going to do this, but I said if Terrace Marshall doesn't score a touchdown in week 1, I'll Venmo somebody who likes this tweet $5.
Yeah.
Either people want $5 that bad, or Terrace Marshall's just that polarizing a name on Twitter that it causes that much traffic. So how confident are you just in general, first in the Panthers passing game today with Sam Darnold there going against his former team? Do you think that this is a good spot for people looking to stack the Panthers? Would you advocate for that?
I love this matchup for Sam Darnold. Now, the Panthers have 3 viable weapons, actually 4. Yeah, because, I always forget, CMC is their wide receiver 1, and then it's DJ Moore, and then it's Robbie Anderson and Terrace Marshall Jr. So I think that so CMC is definitely the safest bet to go off, of course, but then there's DJ Moore and Robbie and Terrace. I think they all have an equal chance to score this Sunday. And probably multiple touchdowns. I see Sam Darnold throwing for 250 to 275 yards and at least 2 touchdowns. One of them can absolutely go to Terrace Marshall because so the New York Jets allowed 276 passing yards last season per game, which was 4th worst. So Sam Darnold is set up for success, and not to mention the revenge narrative, Sam Darnold going against his old team in the Jets. So I can definitely see Terrace Marshall catching a touchdown. Now, I'm not starting him in most leagues because I want to take a wait and see approach, but that doesn't mean that he doesn't have that upside to score. So I really like that tweet, David, because it's relevant. I mean, like, Terrace Marshall is a polarizing player. He is huge. He is a big name in the fantasy community, and he can absolutely score. He's huge. So yeah, I mean, I love that tweet. $5, man. That's a lot of money.
Oh, I was gonna say people pretty much said like they're like, oh well, why don't you put up more if you're that confident? And I was like, well,
Be careful.
I thought it was like maybe get like 30 or 40 likes. I was like, I didn't
Sure.
think it was gonna get to where it was. I was like, obviously,
It worked.
I
Yeah.
would have said like 20. I am confident. I'm very confident that he's
Nice.
scoring. I think he's gonna be in the slot, and the Jets already are really bad at cornerback, so he'd be getting their 3rd best corner.
Right.
Kind of like what CeeDee Lamb was doing last year, where CeeDee Lamb was getting to face the lesser corners in the slot, really get acclimated. I will be shocked if he doesn't score a touchdown. I'm not saying he's going to lead the Panthers in receiving this game. I'm not saying he's going to be the best wide receiver in this game. I think he's guaranteed to get a touchdown from Sam Darnold this game.
Guaranteed. I love that, man.
Guaranteed.
In there. You snuck that in there, man. I'm not going to let that go. I love it. I love it.
I feel like my fantasy career is on the line with how much attention that was getting. So we're giving our fingers crossed. If you hear a yell after he scores, and all the way in Denver, it's from me.
All right, man. All right, man.
We got a couple questions in here. First one, this was sent on screen here, and then the second one was in the comments. Heinz, Gallaudet, or Gage, full PPR. What are you thinking?
That's a great question. So Kenny Gallaudet obviously has the highest upside in there. I mean, he is the star name in there. I think that Heinz is a little bit of a safer play, but I still would lean Kenny Gallaudet just because I love that big play ability, that ceiling. Heinz is in, a committee backfield. So, I'm leaning Gallaudet. Heinz is a sneaky play, but he's also risky. I mean, they're all risky here. I would rather take a wait and see approach on Russell Gage, and and just almost taking a wait and see approach on the Colts backfield as well. So I'm going to go with Kenny Gallaudet here.
I look at it like this: if you want the safer floor, you're probably going to go Gallaudet. But if you're feeling frisky, I have Naheem Heinz in quite a few of my DFS lineups. If you guys remember last year on week 1, what he did, and basically set the fantasy world on fire. I think he was RB5 after week 1 last year, something like that. He was RB3, 4, or 5. And I think against Seattle, it's going to be a sneaky shootout game that not many people are pegging as a shootout. And they're going to need Naheem Heinz in that quick offense role where he's going to be the guy catching the ball out of the backfield and keeping up with the Seahawks pace. And I did a deep dive on Seattle this offseason, and the new offensive coordinator, Shane Waldron, is there. Yeah. And he's the type of guy that makes sure the quarterback gets the ball out in 2.5 seconds or less, which is very different from Seattle that was heavy play action and going deep every time they were looking to throw the ball. And the opposing defenses started implementing 2 high safeties every single time they play the Seahawks. And that basically took away the deep ball. Russell Wilson started throwing more picks, and they started running the ball a lot more. I expect it to be a lot more of a quick passing game, a lot more points being scored, just because how efficient they're going to be. So I'm leaning Naheem Heinz for this one. If you're feeling frisky and you want to take a little bit of a gamble, that's where I would go. But again, if you want to be safer, definitely go Gallaudet. Another question sent in here. Good morning, sir. How's it going? We got Chase Edmonds or David Montgomery. David Montgomery is going against the Rams tonight, and the Chase Edmonds is going against the Titans. What are you thinking?
Good morning, Jonathan. Yeah. So, I'm going to go with Montgomery here just because he has such a safe floor and he also has upside. I know that the Rams defense is very tough, but I'm still rolling with David Montgomery, who is not challenged in that backfield for snaps. He is going to be their workhorse. So I do like Chase Edmonds in this spot, and in a full PPR, that is very tough. If it's a half PPR, it's not even close. But I will just go with the safe touches here in David Montgomery, because the Bears and coach Matt Nagy has been talking him up all offseason. So he's going to get the rock a ton. And Andy Dalton is not a threat to throw, like 50 passes. Like this is David Montgomery's team until Justin Fields takes over. So I'm going to go with Montgomery here.
I'm with you. The volume is going to be there for him. Chase Edmonds splitting right now with James Conner. I also expect it's going to be a very vertical type passing game with the Titans and Cardinals have one of the highest over-unders right now. I don't think it's going to be as much Chase Edmonds involved. I think it's going to be Kyler Murray in the passing offense a lot more. So I'm with you. David Montgomery for sure. I think for both of us. Another one talking about Singletary. Are you going over or under 33.5 rushing yards with the Moss news?
Whoa.
I'm going to be honest with you, Jacob. It may seem like it's an easy over. I know our friend here is saying between the pylons that he's going to go over. Steelers have a really good defense. And I actually, part of me, I could see him getting total yards over that. But rushing, I might actually go under on the rushing yards. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I said earlier, he has a chance to get 40 or 50 rushing yards, but I think that's more to his total yards, like you said. Like, I can see him getting 60 to 70 total yards. 33.5 yards. That's a lot for a guy who's not like he's not good in between the tackles. He's good when he has the ball in space. He can make some plays happen. He's not great, but I might just go with the under here too, man.
Yeah, I think we're going to go the under. Not super confident about it, but David, I don't expect Devin Singletary to get more than 8 to 10 carries in this game.
Right.
Even without Zach Moss. And so whatever he does with them, we'll see what happens. Another question here.
Josh Allen's going to get like 40, 50 passes for sure this game.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
So our boy Kevin hopping in here with another one. PPR, Sutton or OBJ. I'm going Sutton. Are you the same?
Yep. I'm going Sutton 100%. I just don't trust OBJ. Like we said earlier, I'm going with Sutton and just hope that Teddy B can find him. Teddy Two Gloves in Denver, I can find Sutton a few times, but Sutton is such a monster. I see him getting at least, like 4 or 5 catches this game. So I think he's a little bit safer there.
I agree. Cortland Sutton, got our friend Bretton Summers checking in, Mr. Beast Stat. His question, he's a big Jags fan. Trevor Lawrence or Justin Herbert? This is a really interesting one. Ooh. Actually, somebody asked me with these two and Matt Stafford in my DMs yesterday. And my order was Stafford, Lawrence, Herbert for this week. What is your order between these two?
That's exactly how it is for me as well. Stafford, Herbert, and Lawrence. But Herbert is only one spot ahead of Lawrence. And the only reason why I don't have Lawrence higher is just because he is a rookie and it is his first game. I know he's going against Houston and they're a cheese defense, but I would go with the safer pick here because you probably spent a higher pick on Justin Herbert. I know he draws a tough matchup, but he still has Keenan Allen and Austin Eckler is playing today, so he does have weapons around him. So I would go safe here and go Justin Herbert as well.
I would listen to Jacob. He was a top 5 quarterback accuracy ranker on Fantasy Pros last year. Any quarterback questions? I'm going Lawrence personally, but again, if you're deciding between what both of us are saying, I would go with what Jacob is saying. I'm just really scared of that Washington football defense with Justin Herbert. But I will tell you this, if Justin Herbert goes out there and balls out against Washington today, which is arguably the best defense in the NFL, then I think going forward, you can feel very comfortable starting him in most matchups at that point, barring you having like an elite guy above him as your other quarterback. But he was my QB, to be honest with you, Jacob, he was my QB 11 this year for fantasy. So I'm not very high on Justin Herbert fantasy wise. I think he's going to be a very good NFL quarterback, but fantasy wise, I don't think he offers the mobility. I have a thread on it that to basically be a mobile quarterback and be a guaranteed like top 10 with rushing yards that you have to be like 180 yards consistently. Or I forgot how it was, what the exact numbers were, but I was worried about the rushing upside because he didn't show it at Oregon.
Right.
So,
Yeah. I had Herbert as my quarterback 9. So, like I'm not like too far ahead of you. But I agree. We thought that he was going to rush a lot more. We'll see if he actually does it this season. But I mean, he didn't show it at all in his rookie year. But he showed that he could throw, and he is ready for this NFL talent. So as long as he has those weapons around him, I think he's a very safe start. But I get it if you do want to start Lawrence in the much better matchup. I mean, like, again, they are just like 1-2 for me. I got Herbert this week as my quarterback 13 and Lawrence as my quarterback 14. So, I mean, it is a literal coin flip, but my coin flip goes to the safer option in Herbert. Just my opinion.
I totally get that. We'll do one more as I just got into that Zach Moss is officially inactive.
Okay.
So he's officially inactive. Last one here, PPR, Raheem Mostert or Robbie Anderson?
Oh, let's go with Mostert. Like you said earlier, David, I mean, Mostert is in a smash spot against the Detroit Lions, who were top 5 in rushing yards allowed last season. And Mostert is probably the fastest player in the NFL. He can break free so much. Like, he's going to get 4 or 5 carries where he busts out for 10 or 15 or 20 yards. So I can definitely see him getting like 80 yards and a touchdown this game. So I'm definitely rolling with the number 1 running back option in San Francisco this week over Robbie.
I told him it was really close, and I said, "Yep, I'm Raheem Mostert slightly for me." So,
yeah,
good way to close out the first episode on the same page. Great questions for the first episode. Got a lot of great questions.
That was great.
And we'll be here every single Sunday, 11 o'clock Eastern to 11:30, answering all the questions that you guys have, and hopefully take the tough decisions you have to make them easier for you guys. So please make sure you subscribe to the Triple Play YouTube channel wherever you go and find YouTube, hopefully on your phone or your device, wherever that is. Greatly appreciate it. Make sure you check out all the football content throughout the week on the channel. We've got the Triple Play Fantasy Football Show, the Tripwire, and Super Fantasy Bros. Jacob, anything else before we get out of here and get ready to settle in for football?
I just want to say this was a blast. Cheers to all of you, and let's win week 1, guys. Let's do it.
I love it. Love it. And yeah, just everybody, before you know, make sure you know the Cowboys are 0-1. Everybody else is not lost yet. Cowboys are the only team that has not won a game. That is one loss on their record. So everybody, will see you back here next Sunday at 11 o'clock. Cheers, like Jacob said, to the first week of football, and we'll catch you guys next week.